Let's talk to Dina. She's calling from Chelmsford, Massachusetts. How do you say that?
Chelmsford.
Okay.
Chelmsford.
Well, I was really not close. So, welcome, and you listen on WEZE, and we're glad you've joined the program. How can we help you today?
Hi. I was calling because I was had a question about the previous show where it pertained to dating and where somebody had trouble dating, and came down to the fact that some of the guys came out to be with the different values of hers. And I just want to draw two concerns. It sounded as if, because after I heard what Dr. Sherry said about a guy she dated who didn't have the same values, but then she went on to say that he was a guy who believed in having sexual relations with people before marriage, and then she said that he's still a Christian, but was just open to it, and they just had different values was the reason why it didn't go on. But my concern is
which was a key phrase. I don't want you to skip over that. She said when she discovered that's why she didn't want to go forward into a serious relationship.
And again, just to repeat that, he was a Christian, but they had different values.
Yeah.
Okay, so your concern was okay. What was it?
My concern is calling. How is it that you can still call those people Christian who believe in that when there's specific scriptures in the Bible that says that that we're not supposed to associate with a so-called brother who's living immorally, and that's one of the
which is exactly which is exactly what she did. Exactly what she did.
I don't know if she got up from dinner, but she didn't want to have dinner
she
anymore.
She didn't say that she wanted to get in a serious relationship with it. But I think, is that your question?
I agree with that. I'm not saying she didn't do the right thing. I agree with that, but in the Bible, it kind of, to me, listening to that, or somebody who's not firm in their beliefs might say, well, we can still be Christians and still live this way, and they may think that it's okay to have these kind of relations while being a Christian at the same time, when the Bible says that that's not true at all.
Now you're describing me, though, because there was a time in my life when I was a gossiper, and that's one of the sins in the Bible. Is one of the worst sins you could be is gossiping. It's horrible.
Or to be angry with someone in your heart.
Yeah, and so I really couldn't be trusted with a secret, but I was still a Christian, you see, even though the Bible lists it with another group of people, whoremongers and just horrible things. It lists this gossip, and so I could be involved with the sin and still be a Christian. I just wasn't a very good one.
Okay.
But do you think you would be perfect to be able to be a Christian? That'd be the question.
No, I'm not saying that, but I think there's definitely a difference, because I struggle with certain sins, and the reason why I'm struggling is because I agree with what the Bible says. I give up my will to live the way I want to what Jesus says.
You're involved in the story.
These people may not. They may think it's okay. The ones that I'm concerned about is the ones that call themselves Christian and still think it's okay to be these
so
things
what
at the same time.
The Bible would be concerned about anybody that says, I'm a Christian, but I don't have to do what the Bible says.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm trying to get to your concern. Do you think talking about it like we did would make people think it's okay?
No, because the way it's phrased by saying he's a Christian, he's just open toward that, and I'm not. It just make it sound like.
Okay. Well, I don't know if she said just.
No, and let me tell you,
she made it a big deal.
And see, here's the point we were trying to make. The real point was, when some guy says he's a Christian, you don't just say, okay, well then let's get married because we're both Christians and we'll be equally yoked. You can both be Christians and have very, very different values, and it can be kind of an unequal yoking there, and just a setup for misery, because you're not really on the same spiritual plane.
Well, and the other part of it too, Dina, is there are Christians who are like still in first grade, and every year they keep repeating first grade, and they never get beyond first grade. And then what God's plan is that we move through the grades and we mature and we grow and we become more and more conformed to the image of Christ. And there are people who claim to be Christians, and we can't judge that because only God knows the heart, who maybe just have never gotten beyond first grade. And every year they go back and stay in first grade. They just never get it because they never take the Bible seriously.
Right.
So you have a good point, but...
well, he could be a sex addict, too. He could be a Christian,
Yeah.
but totally...
and struggling with something, but
right.
it's not somebody you want to build a relationship with.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if we helped you there, but I appreciate you bringing up the issue. Do you have a copy of Henry's book, How to Get a Date Worth Keeping?
No.
Well, I'm going to send you a copy of that and Avoiding Mr. Wrong. But also, just here's what another thing.
Well,
just because he's Mr. Right, be sure his first name isn't always. Okay.
Yeah, and let me say one more thing about it. One of the things the book talks about is it's got a whole section in there on, should you go out with the non-believer if you're a believer. And a lot of people, I mean, I just got, in fact, there were, it took a lot of work on the publisher's part, even because there were some bookstores, just because that chapter was in there that said, we will not sell this book. But they don't read the chapter because the chapter is very explicit about, what Sherry did. And if you're in danger of getting in trouble, you shouldn't be out there anyway. But here's one of the points that I've seen over and over and over. And I could mention names, but I won't. But they're very good stories of somebody who's very firm in their faith, and they would, like a Sherry, who would go out with a guy like him a few times and get in conversations. And he said, and he would say, well, I don't, I believe in God, or I'm a Christian or whatever. But I look at it this way, and through the course of their conversations and all of this, that person comes to faith, or they come to a deeper understanding of faith. They've never been around anybody that looked at the Bible that seriously. Now, granted, it's important that she's not getting emotionally involved and all that sort of stuff, but I can, and I wish I could mention names, give you scores of people who now that guy is a huge Christian leader because of what that person firm in their faith did and wasn't paranoid.
I'll mention names. My oldest son is married to a woman. When he was dating, wasn't a believer, became a believer, and she is a leader in her church, leading Bible studies, and dynamic, has led people to the Lord because she had a different background that other people related to,
but he wasn't evangelistically dating.
No.
He went out to lunch with somebody.
He was authentic about his faith.
Let's clarify this.
And wouldn't go forward,
We're not talking about a date where you say, let's go spend 2 nights up in the mountains at the cabin with champagne and the wood fire burning.
and talk about your higher power.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. What we're talking about, a date can be, let's go have some coffee at Starbucks and sit down out there in the middle of the day and talk to each other. That's what we're talking about.
Get to know each other.
All right. Well, I'm glad you called.
Read the chapter.
Yeah.
I encourage singles to read the chapter
Read it.
because what it says is, if you're in danger of falling in love with this person and selling the farm and moving to Mars, then you got other problems, and it's like an alcoholic shouldn't go to a party where they serve drinks, right?
And we've had callers in that state where, but now I'm in love with him, because they didn't protect their heart, and it's too late to black out in their mind.